Please accept my obeisances. All goes through with. So we'll get started with brief prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chekshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Thank you so much for devotees for joining today. So it's a wonderful section, part of Uddhava Gita. I will share my screen so we can discuss. It's a little bit technical, but it's very helpful for our life. Whatever position we are, whether we're in Grihastha whether we're looking forward to Manapastha Ashram, or whether we're already in Manapastha Ashram, it's a nice section to go through. Let's go through this. So today we'll be discussing these 4 chapters, 17th to 20th chapter of 11th Canto. So this is a very high level context of this, how we got here. Essentially, in the beginning, for the first chapter, we got a hint of Yadu dynasty destruction, and not necessarily called out everything, but the cursing of the Brahmanas, Brahmana cursing the Samba, and the Iron Club was coming out, and then they poured out the Iron Club on the instructions of Ugrasena. All that was described in chapter 1, which was the precursor for the Mosala Leela. Actual Mosala Leela is described in the last 2 chapters of the 11th Canto. And then we get introduced to how Narada Muni gives instructions to Vasudeva on Bhagavad Dharma by describing the conversation between exalted personalities, Navayogendras, who are the sons of King Rishabdev, who are teaching Maharaj Nimi based on his wonderful questions. So that is what we're going to, that's what discussed between from 2nd to 5th chapter. So 2, 3, 4, and 5, 4 chapters. We had beautiful 9 questions. I think I also discussed a couple of them in the last session I did. But Preeti Vilas Mataji covered other 7 questions for that section. And then after that, chapter 6, we again hear a little bit more as a precursor to Mosala again. Basically, demigods who came, who requested Supreme Lord in the 10th canto, 1st chapter, that Supreme Lord, please come, we're troubled by the demons like that. Now, they come back again in Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna is there in Dwaraka, telling that, thank you so much for keeping your word. You took care of all the demons. You finished whatever we asked for. You can go back if you like, if you so desire. Important words. If you so desire, you can go back to your abode like that. And like that, they request. And then Krishna instructs Yadus, saying that, oh my God, Brahmana's curse is there on Yadu dynasty. It's important for us to go take shelter of holy place. Let's go to Prabhasha. Like that, he instructs them to go. And then everybody agrees to Krishna's instructions. And then seeing all this, Uddhava, who's a cousin of Krishna, who's a minister of Krishna, who's a close associate of Krishna, in fact, is one of the greatest devotees of Krishna outside Vrindavan. He comes to Krishna, and Krishna, how can you go alone? Please take me also with you, like that he comes and asks. That's where the chapter 6 ends. And then chapter 7 onwards, the Uddhava Gita section started, wherein Krishna is instructing Uddhava before he disappears from this planet. So in the chapter 7 to 9, Krishna instructs Uddhava Gita starting with conversation between Maharaj Yadu Maharaj, who is one of the ancestors of Krishna when he appeared here, and Avadhuta Brahmana. That was also a beautiful section. I think I covered that section last time. Basically, Avadhuta Brahmana learned through his intelligence by seeing all the things around the world, in the material world. And from them, he learned some valuable lessons for spiritual progress. So that he describes in the form of, we heard in the form of 24 gurus in the material nature like that. And then after that is discussed the chapter 10, where Krishna refused the philosophy of Jaimini Rishi, the followers of Jaimini Rishi. What their main conclusion was, oh, you know what? Everything we do in everything that is prescribed in Vedas, if we follow nicely, we'll become the perfect enjoyers. We'll get ultimate, eternal, keep on enjoying in the material world. That is the goal of Vedic literature. That's how they think. So Krishna refutes that philosophy. And then he gives hope that the soul who's born in material body can develop pure transcendental knowledge like that. And the next chapter, chapter 11, discussed about the Baddha Jivas and liberated living entities, both conditioned and liberated living entities. And Krishna describes the characteristics of conditioned versus liberated souls, and especially characteristics of saintly persons, and different aspects of practice of bhakti also. And then chapter 12, we heard about the important principle of the valuable association of devotees, and especially the super excellence of the pure love of residents of Vrindavan that is described. And then in the following that in chapter 13, Krishna explains by describing the Hamsa Avatara, how one time sons of Brahma, Kumaras and others, they were all asking Brahma, how do we even get out of this Maya like that? And then Krishna's Hamsa Avatara gives knowledge. Krishna refers to that. And then Krishna explains how the problem started. Basically, how we are identifying with the body, and then through modes of nature, because of overwhelming sensory gratification through modes of nature, we were influenced. And then Krishna describes the solution also. How do we renounce these modes like that? Then chapter 14, Krishna explains that how bhakti is the most excellent method of the spiritual practice. And then he also speaks about jnana. So if you notice, Krishna is interlacing between jnana and bhakti, while periodically emphasizing how bhakti is the topmost, bhakti is the best, like that, until now. Then, on the questions of Uddhava, in chapter 15, he talks about yoga also, Ashtanga yoga also. And specifically, what are the perfections achieved through Ashtanga yoga, and what is the process of Ashtanga yoga in brief, like that he talks about. But then he says, actually, those Ashtanga yoga perfections are not wonderful, because they're actually blockers or obstructions or distractions to achieve the spiritual abode of Lord Vishnu, like that he says. And then the last chapter that we covered in the previous session, where again, in response to Uddhava's questions, this is similar to Bhagavatam chapter 10, where Krishna explains all the opulences, how he can be remembered, how we can see everything in relation to Krishna. You might have noticed that is one of the common theme of the Uddhava Gita. Krishna repeatedly describes how we should be conscious of Krishna, we should be conscious of everything in connection with Krishna. That is important. That theme comes up regularly. So in that connection, he talks about how he manifests in terms of different opulences in this world, like that. That's what we heard in the 16th chapter. Now, that is where we come to today's chapter. Today's chapter, basically, Uddhava, I'll go into the details, but essentially 17th and 18th chapter are covering Varnashrama Dharma. Okay, so I'll not go through all these section titles, but essentially Uddhava kicks off this chapter with some more questions to Krishna. So what are the questions we'll discuss? And then Krishna describes the different varnas and ashramas like that. So these two chapters are very valuable for us in terms of practicing what we can in Varnashrama Dharma. But of course, the essence is Samsiddhir Haritoshnam. Essence is to please Krishna. So whatever is favorable for bhakti, we should take up. What is unfavorable for bhakti, we should reject. That is the essence principle we maintain as practice in devotees. But still, some of these practices are very helpful. So we'll go through those. Uddhava is asking, remember Krishna described about Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti. And then now Uddhava is compassionate. He's asking, can you please tell me about people who are inclined to do prescribed duties? They're not inclined to do Bhakti directly. They're inclined to do prescribed duties. How can they also advance to your lotus feet? How can they also come to Bhakti, understand that Bhakti is the best? Is it even possible for them to realize that highest religious duty, Bhakti in this Kali Yuga? Because people are influenced by lower modes, like mode of passion, Rajoguna, and mode of ignorance, Tamoguna. Is it possible for them to realize even Bhakti? Like that, Uddhava starts the questions out of his compassionate nature. So that makes the full circle. Krishna already described Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti. Now he's talking about Karma Yoga through Varnashrama system, basically. So then, obviously, we talked about Samsiddhir Haritoshnam, how following of the Varnashrama Dharma is meant to invoke loving attraction for Krishna in our heart. So, generally, the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas are decided according to the Guna and Karma. Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Like Bhagavatam, we hear from Krishna directly. So, Guna means qualities. Qualities can be described in 2 ways. One is like modes, in terms of modes, mode of goodness, passion, and goodness, in terms of specific qualities for each class also. That means like tolerance, austerity, satisfaction, heroism, like that kind of qualities also. And then activities, of course, what duties they do, like that. And not by birth. Of course, Prabhupada, whenever this topic comes, he emphasizes the principle that Vedic culture is not based on caste system, that is based on I'm born a Brahmana, so I'm also Brahmana, not like that. I should have qualities of Brahmana. I should do the duties of Brahmana. Unless that I'm not a Brahmana. Prabhupada commonly used to give an example of a high court judge. Let us say I'm a son of a high court judge. I cannot say I'm also a judge like that. I need to be properly trained. I need to be properly educated, and I need to properly practice, and then I can become qualified as a judge someday. But just because I'm born to high court judge, I cannot be judge like that. So same principle holds good for Varnashrama also. So then a brief introduction of the Varnas and Ashramas. Most of you might know already, but just brief introduction. The 4 Varnas are Brahmanas are the intellectual class, Kshatriyas are administrative class, Vaishyas are mercantile class or businessmen, and Sudras are working class. And then 4 Ashramas, these are spiritual classes according to the different stage of life we are in. So in the beginning of the life, we are in the student stage, that's called Brahmachari life. And then later on, we get married and take care of the family, grow family, maintain family, that's called Grihastha life. And then after that, we go to the retired life, or Vanapastha life, where we are cultivating more and more dependence on Krishna, cultivating material detachment, because previous Grihastha is more coated with material enjoyment, usually. So then Vanapastha life is shifting that fulcrum from material enjoyment to material detachment, and then preparing oneself to sannyasa ashram actually, if you are qualified, if you get qualified to do that. Then sannyasa or the renounced order, where complete dedication of spiritual practices without any family or social obligations. I mean, they're not worried. Oh, what will they think if I don't go to their party? What will they think if I don't wish them for birthday? What will they think if they don't wish me for marriage day? Nothing like that anymore. Sannyas means they're detached from all this. So that is what is big. So that means they are full focus on the spiritual practices now. That is the general idea of the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Now, Krishna starts with describing the history of Varnashrama system. Specifically, he talks about the 2 yugas, Satya Yuga. He says in Satya Yuga, there is only one social class. There are no 4, no Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra is not there. Only one social class. That's called Hamsa, it seems. Like Hamsa is a pure. People were extremely pure in their activities and characteristics. And at that time, Veda was expressed in syllable Om. That means people meditate on Om, they get all the Vedic knowledge realized for them. And all the people were natural, unalloyed devotees, it seems. And that's why Krishna is their only objective activities. And Krishna manifests as a four-legged bull of religion. What does it mean? We commonly hear this described by Sri Prabhupada often, and many places in his books also is described. Like if the religion, dharma is compared with four-legged bull, then in Satyuga, all the four legs are intact. In the Treta Yuga, one leg is gone. Next Yuga, one more leg. The Upper Yuga, one more leg, like that. Finally, in Kali Yuga, only one leg remains, that is truthfulness, like that. And that also barely. So what are the four principles of religion? Truthfulness, mercy, and then truthfulness, mercy. I forgot. These are the opposites of our four regulative principles. Truthfulness, mercy,
Purity.
purity. Yeah. Anything else?
Charity.
Charity, no.
Satyada. Satyatapa.
Austerity and cleanliness, Prabhuji.
Cleanliness, thank you, Mother. Yes.
Cleanliness.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, and mercy. Yes. Thank you, Mother. Okay. So those are the four principles of religion. So as the ages go, they degrade like that. That is what is going on. Now, people worship Supreme Lord as Lord Hamsa, it seems. Of course, there are many names are given for Supreme Lord in each Yuga, which we discussed in the last, when I was discussing, I believe it was one of the chapters previously in the seventh chapter section. So that also is described. And people were with very exalted qualities, and there are no shortcomings in the character also. That's why the perfection of, we discussed in the previous section, how meditation was their perfection that time. Then in Treta Yuga, when little degradation happened, whether it goes next to Yuga, then Varnam Ashrama division began at that time. And then qualities, so then Varnas and Ashramas are generated from the Supreme Lord's universal form at that time. So now, on the right hand side, you see the table. So you see how Varnas, like Brahmanas, are representing the Lord's face, Kshatriyas are representing the Lord's arms, Vaishyas are representing the Lord's thighs, Sudras are representing Lord's legs, like that, in the terms of the universal form. Similarly, in terms of ashramas, Grihasthas are representing the Lord's lions, and then Brahmacharis are representing from the heart of the Supreme Lord's universal form, Vanaprasthas from the chest, and then Sannyasi from the head, like that. So, of course, Varnas we discussed as based on the Varnas are discussed based on the qualities, that is mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, like that. And then ashramas are based on the different stages of life. We discussed student life, married life, and then retired life, and then renunciation, like sannyas life, like that. So Krishna gives the brief history of Varna systems, and then it jumps into duties of each of the Varnas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. These are important for us to understand, especially because most of us are trying to acquire qualities of a Brahmana, cultivate qualities of Brahmana, cultivate mode of goodness. So some of these are very helpful to understand. So one of the important principles here is, for a society to run properly, these four divisions are there in terms of Varnas and Ashramas. However, so for somebody to perform in that particular Varna, you need to have proper qualities and characters. So that's why these are being described. For Brahmanas, the qualities are peacefulness, self-control, austerity, cleanliness, satisfaction, tolerance, straightforwardness, and devotion to the Lord. So while we're going through the list, we should always consider what is that I can work on when we hear these lists like this. So maybe we cannot remember all of them, but we can remember one or two or three that we think is important for us to cultivate. Then Kshatriyas, the power, bodily strength, determination, heroism, fighting in battle, never showing their back to enemy in battle, and devotion to Brahmanas, like that. That means they take guidance from Brahmanas, they respect Brahmanas, like that. And Vaishyas, they have faith in Vedic civilization, they're extremely charitable, and they're not hypocritical. They have service attitude to Brahmanas. If you notice, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas both have service attitude towards Brahmanas. So now Sudras, they render service to Brahmanas without any duplicity. And they serve cows, demigods, and basically they serve all the higher orders of society. And they have complete satisfaction with whatever income that comes from their service. They don't hanker for more and more and more and more and more like that. In fact, in olden days, Sudras were not having a bank balance also. They just, whatever master gives, they are happy with that and live with that like that. Because the problem is, Sudras, because they're in mostly mode of ignorance. So what happens is, when they're given more wealth, they're not able to take care of the wealth properly. They will utilize it for intoxication, gambling, like that it seems. That is why, in fact, Sudras were not remunerated with wealth like that. They're remunerated with clothes, food, like that. So essential necessities for them. And then Krishna describes people who are even below Varnashma or outside the four Varnas also. It is interesting to note this because some of these I also need to improve on. So dirtiness, dishonesty, thievery, faithlessness, useless quarrel, lust, anger, and hankering. So he's saying somebody with these qualities are actually not even qualified to become Sudras essentially. That's a point to take. So we really need to develop, if let us say I recognize, oh, I have this quality of lust, I have this quality of hankering, then what I need to do? Then I need to understand, oh, I have a long way to go. That means I need to do more devotion service, more sincerely, more seriously I need to do devotion service like that. That's so we need to see these sections. Then Krishna describes the general qualities all the varnas need to have. Non-violence, truthfulness, honesty, desire for happiness. So that is about, that's a combined sentence. Desire for happiness and welfare of all others. That means not for desire for my happiness, desire for, everybody should be happy like that. And then freedom from lust, anger, and greed. Interestingly, that is what everybody needs to have. That is even right from Sudra Vela, basically. So then, this is from Burjan Prabhu's book, Unveiling His Lotus Feet, where Burjan Prabhu is amazing. He summarizes whole of Srila Prabhupada's teachings on Varnashram Dharma as 6 bullet points. I'm calling bullet point, but 6 paragraphs like that. So I summarized it again from him again. So there are some important principles here while we hear Varnashrama. That's why I thought this is relevant. First of all, he's saying there is a innate system of organization of Varnashrama that is already there, even in spiritual society also. For example, somebody is inclined to teach, somebody is inclined to do deity worship. There is a Brahmana class in the ISKCON. Somebody is inclined to do organization, temple president, like organizing the temple, organizing a big preaching event, organizing Janmashtami festival. There's like a Kshatriya class. And then somebody gets the fundraising. There's like a Vaishya class. And somebody does the actual work, actual decorating, actual dances, drama, actual cooking of prasadam, like that. Like that, they're the servant class. Like that is naturally there in a spiritual organization. So, Prabhupada is saying when members learn to serve Lord according to Varnashrama, that means their position in Varnashrama, society runs very efficiently and brings happiness. That means everybody does their seva to Supreme Lord according to their position, according to their qualities, according to their duties, according to the natural inclinations. Then everything will go on peacefully and everybody will be happy. Not that one person is less, one person is better like that. Because everybody is trying to please Krishna. The second point he makes is essential purpose of Varnashrama is to provide protection and shelter. That way, people are allowed to live peacefully right now and make spiritual progress also, wherever they are. For example, I'm not so renounced, then I don't need to take sannyas. I can take Grihastha ashram and slowly develop my renunciation, develop my material detachment like that. So, but still I can remain in shelter and then progress like that. And then the places in the individual Varnashrama are decided not based on guna and karma, qualities and inclinations, not by birth. And then Kali Yuga, it's impossible to follow all the rules and regulations of Varnashrama system. However, we can take the essence the form and function of the Varnashrama. And we can apply intelligently to the particular time, place, and circumstance as decided by previous acharyas. Remember, acharyas are the one who can establish principles and change the principles based on the time, place, and circumstances. We cannot change things based on time, place, and circumstances because we don't have the bigger picture of everything. So acharyas can do that. So that's why we follow whatever acharyas has given us for this time, place, and circumstances like that. So that's the other principle. And the final thing is, this is the core of this Varnashrama section. This comes in 2-3 places. That's why it's important to capture it. So remember the previous bullet point was talking about how we need to capture the essence of Varnashrama and then apply it in our life according to time, place, circumstance as given by acharyas, right? So what is that essence? That's what is being highlighted. This is mentioned in different terms, little different, but essence is same. So for brahmacharya ashrama, celibacy or brahmacharya is the most important thing. And then study of Vedic scriptures and service to Guru. These are the most important things for a brahmachari. And then from Grihastha, rest, we'll hear more about details about each of them coming up. And then from Grihastha, it's important to restrict sense enjoyment. Just because we have license for sense enjoyment, we don't go anywhere. We need to restrict our sense enjoyment. And we need to give in charity. And then we need to engage our own family and occupation for pleasure of Guru and Krishna. And then Vanaprastha, one of the main principles is austerity. So some of us are Grihasthas and leading towards Vanaprastha. Some of us may be in Vanaprastha. We need to pay attention to these principles. So that way we can develop something in that area. Austerity is one of the main essence of Vanaprastha. And remaining celibate is important for all 3 ashrams except Grihastha. Celibacy is one of the important quality. Of course, even Grihastha also, brahmachari Grihasthas is the term used. So that they are better than other Grihasthas, it seems. That means only sex life only for producing children, Krishna conscious children like that. And then see, I like this because this summarizes the whole Vanaprastha ashram in one place. So this is very important, principle wise. So austerity is one thing. That means no lavish living. Remain celibate is second thing. And then I can either live with my wife or away from my wife in Vanaprastha stage. Of course, wife need to be taken care by somebody like mature sons like that is described in the later sections. And then we use their time to prepare for sannyasa. That means use time to prepare for preaching, to prepare for full dependence on Krishna, like that. So that is a Vanaprastha ashram. And sannyasa ashram, again celibacy and a detachment, preaching and full dependence on Krishna. Those are the essence of the Prabhupada's teachings on Varnashrama as described. Of course, many of you might know that this, even though it's described in scripture in many places, it's very hard to apply it in the modern life unless there's a committed community who can do that together. For example, His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj, I heard, he's doing in New Vrajdam, they call it, in Hungary. So he's already working on this Varnashrama system for a few years now. They have like curriculum. First, people will develop human qualities and they'll assess what kind of qualities they have, what they're suitable for, and they engage in that kind of occupation like that within the community. Like that, they're progressing towards Varnashrama also, with pleasing Krishna in the picture first as ultimate goal. Then Krishna starts to describe about brahmacharya ashrama. So the way he describes this, first of all, basic principle is brahmacharya, celibacy. And brahmacharis regularly worship sun god, acharyas, cows, and respects elderly people, stays in the Guru's ashrama and learns spiritual subjects from Guru. He lives simply and peacefully, and he should have great respect for Guru because Krishna says Guru is not different from me. And then you should not envy Guru, you should never disrespect Guru, you should always be ready to serve the Guru, never consider Guru to be an ordinary human being. And then some of the qualities of mood of service when we carry, our teachers can give nice knowledge to us. What are those? For example, brahmachari, even is in a Guru's home, He goes out daily to get alms on behalf of spiritual master, and he doesn't take anything that he got. He doesn't take. He's trained that is a property of Guru, and he brings it back to Guru and offers it to Guru. Everything that he got alms throughout the day, and then he depends on Guru. Whatever Guru gives as prasadam, he'll give, accept it. If Guru forgets to give food, he will not take it. That much submission it is trained to maintain. So somebody may ask, why do you need to have such level of submission for a student to Guru? Then Guruji Prabhu nicely explains this. One of the thing is, the main goal of Vedic tradition is to develop the character in us and also to make us strong, self-disciplined individuals. So because only when you are strong and self-disciplined, we can achieve any material goals, or we can even elevate in spiritual path also. If without self-discipline, we cannot grow anywhere. Because material goals we cannot get, spiritual goals we cannot get. So that's why the child, a brahmachari, is trained to submit to the Guru from very early age. So that he will not do, oh, my mind thinks I want to do this, so I want to do this. No, he submits to Guru, whatever Guru wants to do. And his desires, I want to go to this now. No, he submits to Guru. If Guru accepts the desire, he accepts, he follows. Otherwise, he leaves the desire like that. That means submitting his mind and desires to higher authority. That cultivation is done. So what happens is, as a student matures, what does that mean? Mature means, that means as a student is getting trained by Guru trains his intelligence with scriptures in such a way that disciple has the proper discrimination. What is good, what is bad for spiritual life. So when he has that mature intelligence, then Guru transfers that submission that is externally going to the Guru to the internally, to his own mature intelligence now, spiritual intelligence now. So now he doesn't have to depend on Guru. Even if Guru is not there, because he learned submission to his intelligence, so now he'll listen to intelligence. So why is this important? Remember in Bhagavad Gita, I believe is end of the third chapter, Krishna also talks about how lust can be conquered by spiritual intelligence. So basically, normally what happens in the very beginning stages, mind proposes something. Oh, I need to enjoy like this. Then it consults the intelligence. My dear intelligence, I got the idea to enjoy. What should I do? Should I enjoy or not? Then intelligence will guide based on whatever it got as of now. Oh, that's not a good way to enjoy. Why don't you enjoy like this? That is at least a little bit Vedic. This is totally sinful. Please don't go there. Intelligence will tell, mind will listen. But the more we ignore the intelligence and listen to the mind, keep on doing it like that, then we'll no more go to consult the intelligence also anymore. That is the drawback most people are currently in the Kali Yuga. But by spiritual process now, by chanting the holy name, by hearing Shastric knowledge, by reading scriptures, and by seeing the example of gurus, by association of saintly devotees, pure devotees, we can actually train our spiritual intelligence in such a way how to apply the scriptures in our daily life, how to apply the qualities in our daily life, like that we can learn. So through that we are sharpening that spiritual intelligence. Now spiritual intelligence becomes solid, strong, and mind is relatively weak. So now intelligence can play the role as it's supposed to do. How soul is meant to direct intelligence, intelligence is meant to direct mind, mind is meant to direct senses, like that, like how we read in Bhagavad Gita. So that's why when the intelligence is matured like that by the instruction of Guru, by association of Guru, pure devotee, then student, even if he goes to Grihastha life at next time, he can still not get swayed away with all the distractions of enjoyment. He'll still stay fixed in the spiritual path like that. And he can guide his family also in the spiritual path like that. That's what is described here, the relevance of submission to the Guru like that. Now, there are two kinds of brahmachari described in this section, Upakurvana brahmachari and Naistika brahmachari. The brahmachari, the common misconception that somebody is a brahmachari, they need to stay brahmachari throughout the life. That's a common misconception. Actually, that is one kind of brahmacharis, Naistika brahmachari, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to do. They are very celibate throughout the life. That is possible and that is desirable if somebody can be trained like that. But there are other brahmacharis who can go into, who don't need to stay brahmachari through the life. They might want to take up grihastha life like that. So, but if somebody is determined by Guru and he himself feels that he should stay celibate throughout the life, then to do that, Krishna gives some prescriptions to that. Especially, you should be restricted from freely mingling with the opposite sex, because otherwise lifelong celibacy cannot be maintained. So some of the details he gives, Krishna directly gives in the verse. No glancing, touching, conversing, joking, or sporting with opposite sex, nor associate with any other living entities who are engaged in sexual activities like that. This is for Naistika brahmacharis. So now, Krishna also describes what are the duties for all ashramas, general duties, like general cleanliness and washing hands, bathing, performing religious services 3 times a day, worshipping Krishna, visiting holy places, chanting japa, holy name of the Supreme Lord, remembering my existence within all living entities as super soul. By the way, this is also another important thing that comes as a common theme within the Uddhava Gita. Remembering Krishna is in each and every living entity like that. And how we need to see everything in connection to Krishna like that. Because that is what helps us to go from enjoyment tendency to service mode like that. And then there's another nice lesson here. That is, when brahmachari completes his student life, before he goes to the next stage of life, he takes permission from Guru and he requests him what kind of Guru Dakshina he can give like that. And then he offers Guru Dakshina to satisfy the Guru. So this is another important lesson for us. When we learn something from someone, material or spiritual, then we need to satisfy that teacher, especially for our gurus. For sure, this is applicable. But otherwise also, whenever we accept something, this is a general principle. Whenever we accept something, we try to do some service in return to them. That's a principle we can learn from here. Now, this is towards the end of the brahmachari ashram. Now, Krishna describes the transition of brahmachari to grihastha ashram, and then further elaborates on the grihastha ashram next. So he says, one who is not surrendered to me fully should move progressively from one ashram to another. Otherwise, it's not so important. You take up vanapastha, sannyas is also important as long as we are staying in devotion service like that. That's the point Krishna makes here. Then he says, how does the brahmachari transition to different stages? Let us say he still has material desires. He's not fully purified in the heart, even though he got all the training from Guru, which is possible, right? We might have heard so many things from Guru, so many things, but still we are not able to be situated in the pure heart. So then they become a grihastha. They get married, so they can have a heaven, safe shelter of married life, so they can still practice Krishna consciousness like that in a grihastha ashrama. All 4 ashramas are for spiritual development. Then, let us say he has no desires because he is purified heart. Then it doesn't take grihastha. He directly goes to vanaprastha ashram. But if he happens to be a brahmana also, by qualities, not by birth, he happens to be brahmana also, and he happens to have no desires also, then he can directly, from brahmachari to sannyasi, jump, like that he can do. He doesn't need to do grihastha, he doesn't need to do vanaprastha like that. So those are 3 paths they can take, basically. Of course, 4th path is to stay in brahmachari also. So that is another path they can take. So in this case, they will stay with Guru only, if he is staying brahmachari path. Then, for this brahmachari who is trying to get married now, Krishna gives some interesting guidance how to find a wife. He says, one should find a wife of his own caste. What does that mean? That means I'm born in Brahmana, he should also be born in Brahmana, not that. In terms of the mentality, in terms of the qualities. Like, for example, I'm intellectually oriented, my wife also should be intellectually oriented. Let us say I'm intellectually oriented, but my wife wants to be heroic, then there will be clash. Then if I'm heroically oriented, my wife is not, then there will be clashes like that. Basically, in terms of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, those qualities, we need to see the match according to that is described. And then the girl we are marrying should be beyond reproach. That means she should be of a good character and good background. So that is why in Vedic culture, girls are given utmost protection. So that way there's no chance of anybody speaking ill about any girls like that. So that's the responsibility for us parents to make sure there's no possibility of any reproach on our character or background like that. And then interestingly, Krishna describes the wife should be younger in age also. And the purport, VVT purport says ideally 5 to 10 years younger like that. So, and then Krishna describes if more than one wife, that means after marrying first wife, if somebody is marrying second wife, third wife, fourth wife like that, then each of the wives should be of successively lower caste than the first wife, it seems. Why is that? This Guruji Prabhu describes in his book, Unveiling His Lotus Feet. Because that way, there's a natural authoritative system maintained in the family. That way, second wife understands she's of a higher caste. She has better qualities than me. So I should listen to her. I should be subordinate to her, like that. And third wife similarly thinks like that about the two, second wife and first wife, like that. Like that, there's a natural system that allows peace in the family system like that. And also, of course, society. If family is peaceful, then society is peaceful, right? That's why Krishna gives these directions like that also, in terms of Varnashma like that. Of course, when we're discussing this section, one of my friend was saying, oh, my wife is older than me, so I'm violating Krishna's principle like that. So later on is described, when somebody is surrendered to Krishna and following the devotion service nicely, then all the principles of Varnashma Dharma are not essential for them to practice like that. There's a caution there to follow our Guru, follow our sadhus like that. But still, not everything is required like that. Especially the wife is also a devotee. Then it's wonderful. Husband and wife are devotees. Then they can practice devotion service, support each other to grow in bhakti. Then some of the prescribed duties of householders, he says. Notice, householders, even though Krishna is describing about householder ashrama, then why is he talking about different things we'll see coming up? Because only householders engage in these activities, like Brahmana activities usually, Kshatriya activities, Vaishya activities, because sannyasi doesn't do the job, Brahmana doesn't do the job, Vanaprastha doesn't do any job. So that's why in that context, Krishna explains everybody basically with the Grosashrama. Then Yagna Dana Tapa, sacrifice, studying Vedic literature and charity should always be done by householders like that, Krishna describes. And then Krishna emphasizes the principle of charity. And he says, if some Brahmanas are poor, if some devotees are poor, then somebody goes and help them. Then Krishna is very pleased with them. Not only pleased with them, let us say I help a Brahmana or a devotee who's very poor to maintain his life and continue his devotion service. Then, even though I have so many material attachments, Krishna will save me from the material attachments. Krishna will lift me up from material to spiritual platform like that. So that is the beauty. That is why when we are giving charity, we give it to the right person for the right cause at the right time, especially for pure devotees and for progress of Krishna consciousness, for spreading of Krishna consciousness like book distribution or deity worship, or temple maintenance, or temple construction, or preaching by sannyasis. These are wonderful activities that we can contribute towards because they're not wasting money for any material sense gratification. They're using it for all for Krishna service like that. So then Krishna describes the Kshatriya's duties. Then he says Kshatriyas protect citizens from physical harm, like how father protects the children from physical in terms of body like that. Not only that, he simultaneously protects them in terms of their spiritual elevation also by ensuring that they're not engaged in sinful life like that. So that's so they're protecting their spiritual elevation also by protecting from harm from sinful life like that. Then Krishna explains, Krishna is not theoretical, is very practical. He doesn't give rigid Varnashma rules and regulations and that's it. Everybody should follow it no matter what, doesn't matter. Not like that. He still gives some room and tells, let us say somebody is going through extreme emergency situation. Somebody is going through extreme poverty. Then what can they do? They still need to do same duties that they're supposed to do as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, or they have some leverage to do something for temporary basis only, not permanent basis. So he explains that. What is that? Brahmana can take up the Vaishya duties like trade, business, like that. Only if he's not able to do Vaishya duties, then he can think about doing Kshatriya duties. Like that he says. That means he can take a sword also if needed. But he could never accept Sudra's duty. So Brijan Prabhu analyzes why is he describing that he's saying he can take a Vaishya. Actually, we know Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. So Brahmana should go to the next lower class, Kshatriya. Why is he saying in case of emergency, first try Vaishyas? Why not Kshatriya? That is a higher characteristic, higher caste. The point here is Kshatriyas are engaged in violence and that is not suitable for Brahmanas. That's why Vaishya's job is preferable for them instead of Kshatriyas, like that is described. So now similarly for Kshatriyas in case of emergency, they can take up the job of Vaishya and they may even hunt in case of emergency. They can even take up the job of Brahmana who's actually higher caste. They can do the teaching business like Brahmana. But they can never take employment under an ordinary master like a Sudra. So if you notice for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, even in emergency, they should not take an employment under other boss and they should not be under another master like that. They should be independent. Okay. So why is that? Guruji Prabhu explains nicely. 2 points. One is when you're working for others as an employee, then you naturally want to please your boss because he'll give bonus, he'll give nice salary, he takes care of you, he'll give you leave whenever you want. So that's why you want to please the boss. Then if boss is of low character, then I will also get degraded because in the interest of pleasing him, I will also not follow my principles because I want to please him. That is one danger in working for somebody. Second thing is, when you're working for somebody, then you naturally don't have so much independence to follow your own principles properly. Naturally, our integrity cannot be maintained all the times. But as social leaders, Brahmanas and Kshatriyas need to set a right example for others to follow. So if they themselves get degraded, what will happen to others? So that's the other reason that they should not take employment for under others like that. And then what about, so far we talked about Brahmana and Kshatriya emergency duties. Now what about Vaishyas? They may even adopt occupation of Sudra also in case of emergency, it seems. That means they can work for somebody also. Then what about Sudra? What if they don't have if they don't get a job, if they don't get a master, suitable master, what can they do? They can do simple activities like making baskets and mats of straw, it's described. That means they're using their skills to make something like that. Then probably they'll give it to Vaishyas, so Vaishyas can sell it like that. So then, but the point Krishna stresses is, even though these emergency situation duties are there, nobody should be stuck on them. As soon as emergency is over, they go back to their original duties basically. That's what Krishna emphasizes in this end of this section basically. So next, Krishna describes how householder Grihastha worships Krishna through prescribed duties like that. He says householder should worship sages by studying Shastra, forefathers and demigods by offering mantras, all living beings by offering them a share of their meals. So you might have heard, like before eating food, some people have this habit of taking one palmful of food and keeping it aside for other living entities. Or humans by offering them grains and water. This is a pinda like that. Householder should comfortably maintain his dependence by one of these two means. What are the two means? One is if somehow something comes up through that maintaining family, like Srivas Thakur used to do in Chaitanya Lila. Or I can take up an occupation that is and earn money in an honest way. Then I can maintain my family. Not only I should maintain my family, but according to my means, I should also perform sacrifices and other religious ceremonies, like especially for practicing devotees, having programs, inviting saintly persons to our home, inviting other devotees, inviting other people to our home, and give them opportunity to engage in deity worship by participating in arti, by engaging in hearing kirtana, hearing a Krishna katha, taking prasadam. Like that is also essential principle for householders. That's how we are meant to use our money that we earn. And then, why is it encouraged? Charity is encouraged for householders Because there is a natural tendency usually for householders to become selfish. This is me, this is mine, like that. And the natural tendency to accumulate more, greed, like that. So to balance that, we are encouraged to do charity also. So that way we're not accumulating, and everything is for mine only. We're also developing some compassion for others, like that. And then not only we should support our family, householders should support others. Interesting, Krishna says, so somebody may say, wow, Krishna is telling, maintain family, maintain others. So I will use all my life for maintaining my family and others. But I don't care about my spiritual life. No, Krishna is saying that should be done along with maintaining the practice of spiritual life. So that's why it's important. Our goal of life is not to maintain family. Goal of life is not social service. Goal of life is to go back to natural position as servant of Krishna and pure devotion service. So we should strive towards that, and we should help others also towards that, like that. And then Krishna gives a warning. While doing household life, we should not become materially attached to our family members and relatives. Nor we should think, I'm the head of the household. Now tax season is coming. Many of us might file as head of the household. So we should not be in that mood of pride. Oh, I'm the head. Everybody should serve me, like that. That mood also is not good, like that. So then Krishna says, we should understand all these material relationships are temporary. He gives a couple of examples, like how when two people are traveling, let us say I'm traveling from here to Chicago. On the way, I meet one or two travelers and I talk to them, hi, how are you? What do you do? And all that. Then, after we go to Chicago, we'll bye bye. Very rare circumstances that we become too much friends, so we'll keep in touch. But otherwise, most of the time, the two travelers don't even talk to each other. They don't even know names many times. And they don't even have the contact numbers also many times. So they don't even meet. Similarly, another example given is, let us say in a dream, I dreamed of wonderful things. But then as soon as the dream is over, all those wonderful things are gone. Similarly, it's like household life. All our relationships are temporary. Like that, Krishna is describing. We should be mindful of that. Not only that, we should also understand all kinds of material enjoyment is temporary and ultimately useless also. So, and he says, what happens to such householders who are too much attached to the family, and that brings, they will never be satisfied, number one, and they enter into darkness of ignorance after death also because of too much attachment. That's important principle. Sri Prabhupada used to say, you serve with your family throughout your life. At the end of the life, when you say, okay, now I'll take vanapasta, now I'll take sannyasa, let me go. Then the wife will say, what did you do for me? Did you do anything better than others? See, all my friends' husbands, they got so much jewelry, so much beautiful clothes, such big bungalows they made. They took care of children so nicely. They have such big cars. You didn't do anything. You're useless. That is what will happen for most of the people at the end of the life. Very rarely that family will recognize, wow, you did so much sacrifice for our sake. You did so much work for us, our sake. Now, please go ahead. You do your bhakti nicely now. You prepare for your next life nicely. Very rarely family will do that. But if you educate the family, if you nurture the family in spiritual life, you take care of this family in spiritual life from now on, when they understand the values, they understand your future aspirations of going to Vanaprastha, then they will also support you. That is why it's important to have the goal in mind clearly, even on a spiritual path. My goal is next to take Vanaprastha at age of 50, at age of 55, whatever, based on our circumstances in life. Then we can plan towards it in terms of financials, in terms of spiritual taste, in terms of seva that we can do at that time when we don't have so much energy to sit and stand properly, like that. And then to prepare our family so that way our wife is taken care of, our children are nicely situated, so that we can peacefully focus on sadhana at that time, very, very peacefully. That doesn't mean we don't do sadhana now. We do our sadhana now. maybe we can carve out like 6 hours a day now, or probably 8 hours a day if you're really very careful in your time. But then when you become Vanapastha, you can plan towards dedicating 14 to 18 hours a day, or whatever rest of the time, sleeping and eating. Apart from that, rest of the time we should be able to dedicate to our spiritual life, whether it's our own sadhana or seva, one of those two. So that's how we need to practice now, so that we can prepare for Vanapastha life like that. There are wonderful seminars if any of you are interested, by Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, Radhesham Prabhu on his website, and Devaki Mataji, and then there's a beautiful article by Gaur Sundar Prabhu here in Baltimore Temple, who took up Vanapastha also. Like that, if you have resources, we can learn from it. Apart from the scriptures we are hearing about Vanapastha coming up. So then Krishna goes to the next chapter, chapter 18. Now he describes, remember in the previous chapter, he focused on Brahmachari and Grihastha life. Now in this chapter, he focuses on Vanapastha life and Sannyas life, the other two ashramas or the 4 ashramas. So these are the broad sections, Vanapastha and Sannyasa primarily described. And then finally, this is a beautiful section. Krishna describes what is the essential duty of the ashrama. What is the ultimate goal of all the ashramas anyway? And then how do we transform from varnashrama based on karma to bhakti? These are the last 2 sections are beautiful in this chapter. So then he explains, in the olden days, or even now in Vedic culture, in old age, Vedic culture encourages us to prepare for next life by increasing detachment from family comforts. Not try to improve more and more comforts. Now I'm retired, I have a lot of money, let me enjoy more like that. Not increasing bodily comforts, but increasing our devotion and keep simplifying our life. That doesn't mean we need to suffer. So anyway, we need to live with the material comforts because we're getting closer to death as we get closer to Vanaprastha. So Krishna says, Vanaprastha should enter forest either alone or with his wife. This is important principle Prabhupada writes in purports in several cantos, different places. Basically, the point is, there's no sex life in Vanaprastha, number one, that we know. But it's not prohibited that you cannot take your wife with you to holy place, for example, or a temple, or near a temple to do services. You can stay with the wife if you need to, by taking care of her. But you need to focus on spiritual life, both of you like that. That means we need to educate our wife or husband, whoever it is in our case, to properly understand the value of spiritual life, properly understand the value of Vanaprastha, get some spiritual taste for some sadhana and seva. Then both of us can do. Otherwise, she'll say, I want to go shopping. You say, I want to go chanting. So it will not work. That's why we need to train ourselves, work in the family together nicely to prepare for future of life also. Then, how do the Vanaprasthas strengthen their mind and increase their detachment? Some of the practices Krishna describes. Remember, the importance is not in the details. Importance is in the principle. Yeah? That will remember always in the back of the mind while we're reading through this. It's not exactly important to do exactly like this, step by step, what Krishna is telling. But Krishna also is telling us the essence to follow. That's coming up in the next verses. But principle is we should simplify our eating and dress in the Vanaprastha life. That means we don't spend too much time to eat some luxurious dish of cooking. Some dishes, believe it or not, takes 8 hours to cook. We don't need to spend time for that. We can eat something simple that can be done with simply, easily. Then dress also. We don't have to spend so much time to get the best dress that requires ironing every time, or that requires starch every time, that requires dry cleaning every time, that I need to go to dry cleaner every time. We can wear some simple dress that can be still neat and nice, because we should be presentable. If you're teaching or if you're associating with other devotees like that, they should feel like they should come and talk to us. Not like they should say, oh my God, he smells, I don't want to go there. Not like that. So we should sleep on ground, he says. And then bathe thrice daily. Interestingly, that means we don't have to spend a lot of time in the bathing by washing our body with soap all the time like that. We can quickly take bath with water, because water also purifies our body. And not groom themselves. That means not spend too much time decorating ourselves, but use the time for spiritual life. Care for the body in simplest fashion. and then perform Chaturmasya Bo, like that, some austerities. Remember, austerity is one of the essence of Vanaprastha life. And of course, we'll hear another essence, which is to cultivate philosophical understanding of the difference between body and soul also. And then wherever practical, refrain from storing more and more for future, like that. That is the Atyahara mentality is not good. Then, essence of Vanaprastha life is to help a householder transition from material comfort to material detachment as a preparation for inevitable death. Because at death will leave everything anyway. So if you have attachment towards everything, then we'll catch hold of something. Oh my God, I did not enjoy my car for a long time. Oh my God, I enjoy my new home for a long time, like that. Then we'll take birth again. So we should develop detachment slowly for material things. Extreme austerities and cultivation of spiritual taste are recommended towards this cultivation of material detachment, like that. Of course, for devotees, detachment is in following Ekadasi, like tomorrow's Ekadasi for us, some of you Ekadasi is today, or then doing more chanting, for example, doing more hearing, doing more reading, sharing some Krishna Katha with somebody, whatever we can do, some seva like that. That's how we can spend our time. And then finally, Krishna spends a lot of verses in Sannyasa Ashram, because Sannyasa Ashram is very, very important for Krishna, because sannyasas are engaged in preaching and helping others understand the value of human life, helping others understand the importance of material detachment, helping others understand the value of devotional service. That's why Krishna spends more verses. Gurujan Prabhu analyzes. Krishna talks 11 verses for brahmachari, 20 verses for grihastha, 10 verses for vanaprastha, like that. He analyzes. And he says 30 verses for sannyas. That means it's important for Krishna, like that. So what is the qualification for accepting sannyas? Qualification for accepting sannyas is detachment that is cultivated in vanaprastha. Remember that we really realized the misery in material situation. Even if I go to Brahmaloka, I still need to suffer. After some time, I need to go back down again. So there's no use hankering for Svargaloka, Brahmaloka, or Patala Loka, doesn't matter. Everywhere there will be problem coming. That proper realization we should get, not just understanding, theoretical understanding. Because I can repeat the class. I can repeat as a class to somebody, but I should get proper realization of that. That is what we're cultivating in Vanaprastha. Then we can take sannyas. Of course, we know in other part of scriptures, in Kali Yuga, sannyasa is not recommended so much. Why? Because most of us cannot get that level of renunciation like that. So that doesn't mean we cannot go back to Godhead. Even in Vanaprastha, we can go back to Godhead. Our focus is to practice doing everything for Krishna's pleasure. When we do that, we can go back to Godhead. Then next, Krishna describes for sannyasi, material desire can be a stumbling block. So that means they should watch out for material desires. Attachment to women, money, reputation, followers. Oh, I should be known as good devotee. I should be known as a wonderful preacher. I should be known as a wonderful husband. All those things are not there. Of course, sannyasi, there is no husband concept at that time. I should be known to have so many followers. I should be known to have so much renunciation. None of this they should have desires like that. So should we watch out for such kind of weeds is described. And then Krishna says it's actually difficult for sannyasis to follow such renunciation. Why? Because demigods are seeing, they're thinking, wow, this guy is going to back to Godhead before us. Let us stop him. Let me give them some nice attraction. His former wife, let me send the former wife to meet him, and she will talk nicely. Oh, I miss you so much. Please come back home. Or some attractive woman, let us send to sannyasi, so he'll fall for them. Or let me send some lots of money for a project he's conducting, so then he'll fall for the money. Like that, demigods give different obstacle systems. So sannyasi should be very careful, understanding that this is a test the demigods are placing before me. I should be fixed on my relationship with Krishna. All I want is my relationship with Krishna. Even for us also it applies, that principle applies. When we fixed on our goal, my relationship with Krishna, then we don't have to struggle with sense gratification stopping like that. Then sannyasis' dresses and possessions are regulated to minimum needs. This we know. Many sannyasis keep very minimal things. Even if 100 disciples or 1,000 disciples give 1,000 gifts to them, what do? They give gifts to others. They give gifts back to others. That's a wonderful quality of a Brahman actually. Whatever they get, they give it to others. They don't accumulate like that. Like that, sannyasi also doesn't accumulate. That's one good quality to develop for us. And then Krishna encourages them to carefully maintain purity by these examples. He says, when you're walking, watch out carefully. Are you stepping on an ant? Are you stepping on an insect? Then don't cause violence to anybody unnecessarily. And then when you're drinking water, are you drinking some insects that will contaminate your consciousness? No, filter that water with a cloth, and then speak only truth, and then perform only pure activities. That means if it's impure activities, don't do them like that. And then he tells one of the ways sannyasi can maintain their integrity is with 3 internal disciplines. Avoid useless speech, avoid useless activities, control life air. That means like pranayamas, and prescriptions for eating. He says, don't go to contaminated place, untouchable place and ask for food. Like don't go to a bar or non-veg restaurant and ask for food, for example. Approach 7 homes like Madhukari. Take a little bit from each place. Don't become burden on one fellow. And don't calculate. Yesterday, I went to this home. They give paneer sabji. They give lots of food. Let me go to that home. No calculation business. Go to some 7 homes randomly and take some little food they give. Even if they're trying to give more food, ask for little enough for me. That way, you can benefit a lot of people, a lot of householders. And then he says, one should not eat in a public place. One should eat in a private place. One should eat silently, meditating upon Lord's mercy. I was remembering, most of you might have seen Sri Prabhupada video, how he's shown honoring prasadam, opulent prasadam, lots of varieties, but he sits in a corner of the room, facing the wall, not talking to his devotees or anything like that. And he's honoring peacefully prasadam. And he doesn't eat much, but still he honors peacefully. This is what I was remembering when I saw this one. And he says, should travel alone, not with a battalion of people, and then fixed in equal vision, born of spiritual platform. And then sannyasi should know what sense gratification will cause bondage in this world. And then by controlling senses, that I can get liberated. How can I control senses? By Krishna consciousness. And then you should learn to practice taking charity from others. And that's how you can become free from illusion. And then you should go to the busy places like cities, to working women, only to beg some food for sustenance only, food or money for sustenance only. Otherwise, we should avoid such association of people who are hardworking day and night just to enjoy like that. One should never see as ultimate reality the material things, understanding that they will perish. They are temporary only. They are gone today, gone tomorrow. And then Krishna describes in this section those who are beyond these varnashramas. They are paramamsas, sannyasis. They don't need to follow any of these rules and regulations, but still they follow to set an example. Still they hide their greatness because people will say, wow, he's a pure devotee. Like that, people will say like that. He doesn't want such adoration, adulation like that. So he keeps it to himself and he acts like a normal person normally, but doesn't do those religious duties that nobody's watching, he doesn't do those things. Because that doesn't need to do. Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that such indifference towards rules and regulations can only come if somebody is situated in Krishna Prema. Otherwise, he needs to follow the external signs, carrying danda, carrying water pot like that. So, we should not prematurely renounce the Shastric rules and regulations, thinking that, oh, I will pure devotee now. We should always take guidance from our mentor and spiritual master before taking such drastic steps. Then, even though he is not following such rules and regulations, he will never resort to sinful activity, Krishna describes. And then he's always respectful in his dealings with other creatures. And he always understands that my life is under Supreme Lord's control always. So he never becomes too joyful or too depressed by the quality of food he receives. Somebody gives some nice curry, nice smelling, fragrant curry. He doesn't think, wow, my life is successful like that. Or somebody gives some dry food, some little pickle. he doesn't mind. He doesn't think, oh my God, my life is useless. Not like that. He doesn't value his life based on the food he's eating. He values life based on what realizations he's getting, what mercy is Krishna is giving through association, through opportunity to hear Krishna Katha, through opportunity to chant Krishna's glories, like that only. Then, those sannyasis who are not perfected yet, he says, what should they do? They should approach bona fide and learn spiritual mastery. Even though they are sannyasi, they should approach a guru and get trained by them, render personal service to such guru with great faith, great respect, and without envy, like that. That's how they can become perfect sannyasis. That means paramasa devotees they can become. And then Krishna condemns those people who take the saffron robes as sannyasi just to make show, just to earn some food, just to earn money. He condemns those, and he says they will deviate and they will be lost both in this life and next life also. How do we identify such kind of person? Such person has not controlled 6 forms of illusion: lust, anger, greed, excitement, false pride, intoxication, and they're extremely attached to material things, and they're bereft of knowledge and detachment. Knowledge means what? Knowledge means understanding of matter, spirit, or control of both. And then he takes sannyas only to make a living, and is still inflicted with material contaminations of passion, ignorance, like that. Such a person will be degraded like that. Then Krishna, this is the important section, again pay attention. Krishna describes what are the essential duties of each of these ashrama and what is the goal of all these ashramas anyway. So the 4 ashramas and duties are here in table form. Sannyasa, equanimity, seeing everybody equally on spiritual platform, and non-violence. Remember, Krishna talked about even while walking, watch out not to hurt anything like that. And then, of course, we hear absolute definition from Prabhupada and non-violence in Bhagavatam also, which is to show compassion to others, to preach to them, to help them to grow in Krishna consciousness. That is the real non-violence. Not doing anything for others in their Krishna consciousness is violence. Prabhupada describes in that Bhagavatam verse purport. I think 13th chapter. And then Vanaprastha. This austerity and knowledge or discrimination of soul and body is very, very important for us. Not theoretically, but a realization level. Yeah. So we should aim towards that. And as growth also, we should slowly practice reducing our needs little by less, like that. Because need is a dynamic word. It can be need for somebody can be this much, somebody can be this much, somebody can be this much also. Yeah. So we should adjust according to our needs. And as we grow in our Krishna consciousness, as we develop our purity, actually our needs will reduce. That we can notice. Needs for not only in terms of gross material needs in terms of subtle needs also. Needs that others need to respect me, needs others need to praise me, others need to appreciate me. All those also will reduce slowly. That's the beauty of bhakti for us. Even though we're not done that platform, as we practice, slowly we can realize, oh, I'm not so attached for this anymore now. Like that we slowly realize. That's the beauty of bhakti. When we realize that, we should be grateful for Krishna more and more. And we should increase our motivation for bhakti more and more that time. Wow, see, because I practiced bhakti for 10 years, now I don't have this attachment anymore. Wow, I should do bhakti nicely. Then I will get more and more progress quickly. Like that we should get. Another inspiration for us in bhakti is not linear. So as we grow, suddenly we go super fast. So we should look for the day when we go super fast in bhakti. How do we do that? When we sincerely, seriously practice bhakti and offer praise and depend always on Guru and Krishna's mercy. Because with Krishna's mercy, we can achieve anything. For Krishna, nothing is there. Whether we do this or not, doesn't matter. He will make us go super fast to him. Then Grihastha life, give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifices. Of course, our sacrifice for this age is Sankirtan Yajna and practicing devotion service nicely. And Brahmachari, serving the Guru. Of course, we heard in the previous section, studying the Vedic scriptures also, celibacy, all those are important. But this is the most essential thing that Krishna is highlighting here. We have to catch these things, the essence things. Especially for me, Grihastha and Vanapastha are more important. So I paid attention to those sections when reading. If some other section is more important for you, you can pay attention to that section also for you. And then he says, householders should not have sex because he got the license to have sex now. So sex only for begetting children. And that too Krishna conscious children. How do we get Krishna conscious children? When we develop purity in consciousness, when we do sadhana nicely, and then when we have children. that we can take care nicely to give them bhakti. Only then we should engage in that. Otherwise, we should not engage. Otherwise, we should practice celibacy, austerity, cleanliness of mind and body, satisfaction on a natural position, and friendship towards all living entities. And Krishna says in this verse, worship of me is to be practiced by all human beings, regardless of different varna, different ashrama, doesn't matter. The worship is there for everybody. Don't forget that essential ultimate goal is saying basically. So he says, bhakti is both the essence and the goal of karma also. Remember, in the previous chapters we heard about jnana, ashtanga yoga, bhakti, and now in these last two chapters, he wanted to know karma yoga through varnashram dharma. Uddhava is telling the goal and essence of karma also is bhakti only. So, essence of karma is practicing prescribed duties of varnashram like that. Now, how do we transform this varnashram dharma to bhakti? Krishna describes in this set of verses. This is also beautiful conclusion, punchlines of the Krishna basically. He says, we should continue to do our prescribed duties, depending upon the varna and ashrama that I'm in. I need to do my swadharma, prescribed duties. But I should remain conscious of Krishna in all jivas. And then, that way I can achieve unflinching, unalloyed, ananya bhakti I can achieve that way. And then Krishna says, I am the absolute truth. I am the creator, maintainer, and annihilator. And one who worships me with unflinching bhakti attains me. So previous verse is said, do prescribed duties, being conscious of Krishna. That's how we can get unflinching bhakti. Now by unflinching bhakti, we can go back to Krishna. And he says, one who is purified his existence by executing his prescribed duties. Prescribed duties means according to Vedas, according to Varnashram Dharma. Then also we understand Krishna's supreme position. Then we also learn scriptural and realize knowledge. Then very soon we'll achieve Krishna, like that is telling. That means through practice of Varnashram, slowly we'll get purified, and by keeping Krishna in the forefront, then we can progress towards bhakti, and through bhakti we can go back to Krishna. So the last statement here, when Varnashram duties are dedicated to me in loving service, they award the supreme perfection of life. But if somebody does Varnashram duties to enjoy more, then they will not get bhakti. That is the point here. Then everyone, this is an important consciousness item Gurujan Prabhu describes. We should think, I'm being engaged in this work by Krishna like this, and I should engage all my results that I get through this work in Krishna service again like that. That completes the 18th chapter. Now 19th chapter, perfection of spiritual knowledge. So here, this is the overview. Essentially, Krishna describes actually give up the jnana and the process you did follow to get jnana also. And then Uddhava inquires further. So then we'll go into detail what he inquires. And then Krishna speaks about different things, jnana, vijnana, vairagya, and aishwarya like that. And then Krishna speaks about bhakti finally. And Krishna defines a whole bunch of terms on the request of Uddhava. We'll see those things. So in first section, Krishna is saying, actually that jnani who has perfected his life through jnana should give up his jnana and the process he did to get jnana and surrender unto me only. That means he should become bhakta, devotee. Examples given are Sukadeva Goswami and Kumaras, how they became from jnana to bhakta. So now Uddhava might get a question. Oh, you are saying jnani should give up jnana one day, but you also told me to do bhakti. Now, one day you will also tell me, give up bhakti? Krishna says, no. Actually, I am the object of worship. I am the goal. I am the means also. All the processes that you do for bhakti, 9 processes of bhakti, they are me only. I am Krishna only. So, you will never give up bhakti, process of bhakti, or never give me also. Because I am the ultimate goal everybody is looking for. So, don't worry. Bhakti is the ultimate goal. So if you start doing bhakti, you will keep on doing bhakti, even when you achieve me. So, and he says, my lotus feet is the supreme transcendental object. That is the ultimate goal, higher goal for jnanis also. They should aspire for that. So, and through knowledge, you should understand actual self. Then you should worship me in the mood of loving devotion. So through jnana, you should become devotee, Krishna is telling us. And then Krishna goes down a little bit, one notch lower. He says we should understand that we are not this body, we are soul, independent of body, like that. That goes to the next section where Uddhava asks more questions. He asks Krishna, can you please explain me that Gnana endowed with Vairagya and realization? And also, can you explain to me realization means Vijnana? And also, can you explain to me Bhakti, which is sought by great sages? And Uddhava says, I'm actually looking to hear more about your lotus feet. Your lotus feet as a shelter that destroys all the miseries of people who take shelter of it. And your lotus feet are like umbrella that not only gives shelter, like a normal umbrella, when we keep it in the rain, it protects us from rain. Rainwater is not coming inside, from the inside into the umbrella, right? That is giving shelter. Now he's comparing this Krishna's lotus feet as an umbrella that is protecting from miseries, like rain protecting from miseries. And not only that, from inside it's showering beautiful nectar. So we're not getting drowned in the water of rain, but we're getting slight shower of nectar, sweet shower of nectar, like that. And he compares that to nectar of Krishna's instructions later on. And he says, please be merciful to me and save me by giving your nectarian instructions that will awaken one to spiritual freedom, like that he's praying. It's a beautiful verse about lotus feet of Krishna. So then Krishna starts to speak. Krishna quickly explains the 4 terms, Jnana, Vijnana, Vairagya, and Aishwarya, like that. So Krishna says, before he tells it, actually this knowledge is given by Bhishma Dev to Yudhishthira Maharaj already. So I'm telling you the same thing. Jnana means knowing the difference of all the material elements, 28 material elements, like that. And Vijnana means understanding all these material elements came from one Supreme Lord. Wow, the Supreme Lord is great. I need to serve the Supreme Lord. That is the Vijnana he describes. And Vairagya means when you analyze all the material elements and spirit, then understanding, wow, all this matter is temporary and the spirit is one that is eternal. Then when you understand that, wow, what is the use of aiming for this temporary thing? Then I will develop detachment from matter. That is called Vairagya, he says. And how do you get that Vairagya or material detachment? This is important for us, even as practicing devotees. So he says, one is by Vedic knowledge, by reading from scriptures like this, number 1. Number 2, by direct experience, we see somebody struggling to get a promotion so much harder. He's working 16 hours a day, but still is not getting promotion because it's not there in his karma. So what is there in karma, only he'll get it. So instead I use the time, I've worked for 8 hours and other 4 hours or 8 hours I use it for Krishna service. So that way I'll do eternal progress, I'll get into eternal progress, like that. That's a direct experience, that is pratyaksha. Then traditional wisdom. Traditional wisdom is whatever knowledge that came through traditions, like that, in our family. Through that we understand. And then logical induction. Many people are doing this, but still they're not experiencing happiness. But I've seen so many devotees, they're engaging in devotional service, they're so happy and blissful. So let me do that, like that. And then a wise man can understand all things in this universe has a beginning and end. That means they understand they're all temporary. And then Krishna speaks about 15 elements of bhakti. These are important for us. So that's why we'll read it, even though they're just a list, but it's important. So he says, firm faith in Krishna Katha. That means we should be very eager to hear Krishna Katha and have faith in hearing Krishna Katha, like that, and sharing Krishna Katha. And then constant chanting of his glories. Either this can be chanting of holy name or sharing Krishna Katha with others. And developing unwavering attachment to worship of Krishna, attachment to worshipping Krishna, like that. And glorifying Krishna through prayers and through verses, and great respect for Krishna's devotion service, bhakti, and offering obeisances with the body to superiors and to Krishna himself in this deity form. Performance of first-class worship of his devotees, understanding that they're representing Krishna, and then becoming conscious of Krishna in all living entities and see their connection with Krishna and respect them accordingly. And offering of all body activities in my service. Even brushing teeth, we should think, I want to brush teeth and take bath because I know I go before Krishna, Krishna's altar, and I need to wake up Krishna. So I don't want to go unclean. That's why I'm brushing my teeth. That's why I'm taking my bath. Like that, when we think it's offering to Krishna. And then use of words to describe Krishna's qualities. And offering our mind also we need to offer to Krishna. Not only body, mind and words, all of them we need to offer to Krishna. How do you offer mind to Krishna? One of the ways we do it is by chanting the holy name and paying attention to hearing the holy name, and reject all material desires because they're not favorable for devotion service. And we renounce wealth for Krishna's bhakti. How do you do that? By spending money for festivals, by giving up, by not acquiring objects with money for that are not favorable for bhakti, and renouncing material sense gratification, material happiness, like trying to enjoy women, trying to enjoy happiness by material attachments, like by caring for children. This doesn't mean we don't care for children. Not be trying to enjoy happiness by caring for children. That is the point here. Our happiness should come from internally by our service to Krishna. And even caring for children should be as a service to Krishna. Because Krishna is pleased when we take care of our children. Because he entrusted us in our care. And then doing all the desirable activities like charity, sacrifice, vows and austerities with the intention to achieve Krishna only. Now he says, these are the real religious principles. And following these, human beings have actually surrendered to me. They developed a love for me, prema, Krishna prema. That is a natural result of those who surrender to me, he is telling here. So, if somebody performs bhakti, they'll get Krishna prema, Krishna is coming. But if somebody is performing bhakti, but their ultimate goal is karma or jnana, then they won't get the Krishna prema. They get some material goods. What are those? Dharma, jnana, vairagya, aishwarya they'll get. Aishwarya means like 6 mystical opulences, like Ashtasiddhi, 8 mystical opulences like that. But if somebody neglects both Krishna, bhakti, and also mode of goodness also, but he fixes his mind on sense gratification, then result is religion, adharma, attachment, and wretchedness arise, like that. So now Krishna defines the 4 terms for him. Dharma means to perform bhakti unto Krishna. Jnana means to be aware of Krishna's presence everywhere. And Vairagya means to complete disinterest of sense gratification altogether. And opulence, Aishwarya means 8 mystic perfections. After hearing these descriptions, Uddhava asked more questions. Can you tell me standard definition for all the universal aspects of civilized life, please? Krishna defines them whole bunch of things. Interestingly, he describes there's some common themes in this section. You pay attention, you'll understand it. Just 1 minute. So, these are interesting. Krishna talks about Yama and Nima. We know Yama and Nima are one of the two of the limbs of this Ashtanga Yoga practice. Yama means non-violence, truthfulness, detachment, humility, celibacy, silence, like that. And Nima, internal, external cleanness. Internal means cleanness of the mind, not having bad thoughts, like that. External cleanness means body, keeping clean, body clean, surroundings clean, like that. Chanting holy names, austerity, sacrifice, faith, worship of me, visiting holy places, acting and desiring only for Krishna's interest, satisfaction, service to Guru. And then equilibrium means absorbing intelligence in me, he says. Self-control means complete discipline, says. Notice this sense gratification control comes in as a theme throughout these definitions. And then tolerance, patiently enduring suffering. That means suffering will come. I try so much. I try to solve this problem, that problem, but still suffering will come. Understanding that, we tolerate and do steadfast bhakti. That is the next one, determination, steadfastness, conquering the tongue and genitals. That means not going here and there for tongue, taste of tongue or genital activity, but steadfastly performing bhakti. That is the determination is saying. The supreme charity, to give up aggression towards others. We need to be kind towards others. And then austerity, see, renunciation of material enjoyment. So many times in different terms, he is talking the same thing. Renunciation of material enjoyment, giving up sense gratification, control senses, like that. And the heroism means conquering natural tendency to enjoy. See, again, reality, seeing Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere, that is reality. What is truth? Speaking truth in a pleasing way as described by sages. Cleanliness is detachment from fruitive activities. Again, see, that means not doing things to get something. Renunciation means sannyasa, order of life. Respectable wealth or desirable wealth means religiousness is the real desired wealth, not money. And sacrifice is, I am the sacrifice, he's saying. And religious remuneration is offering one's devotion to Acharya or to Guru in order to acquire some spiritual instruction from the Acharyas. That is the real remuneration. So, what is the strength means? Pranayam system of breath control. Opulence, my own nature as personality of Godhead, through which I exhibit 6 opulences. Those are real opulences, he's saying. And what is the profit of a particular person? Supreme gain in life is devotion service to me. That is the biggest profit. Bhakti is the biggest profit. So we should give up sense gratification and take up bhakti. That is the essential theme coming across by going through Guru with his spiritual instructions. And what is the best education? Best education is nullifying the false perception of duality held by the soul. That means middle conception. Getting rid of is best education. And what is modesty? To be disgusted with improper activities. And real beauty is to develop good qualities like detachment. That is the real beauty. We know normally beauty is not based on the body only. Beauty is based on the qualities of someone. Somebody is beautiful by qualities usually. And the happiness is to transcend material happiness and unhappiness. That is real happiness. That is spiritual happiness. Unhappiness is real misery, is to be implicated in searching for such pleasure. That is the real misery, real unhappiness. And learned person, one who knows the process of freedom from bondage, which is bhakti. And fool, one who identifies with the material body and mind. Because of that, he will be engaged in sense gratification. And what's the true path of life? The path that leads one to me, one to Krishna. First path in life is sense gratification, by which consciousness is bewildered. See, sense gratification is again criticized by Krishna. And what is heaven? Predominance of mode of goodness. Hell is predominance of mode of ignorance. Who is a true friend? The one who is acting as a spiritual master for the entire universe. And I am the person, I am everyone's true friend. Surdam Sarabhuta Nam, Bhagavata 5.29. Real home. One's home is a human body only. Who is a rich man? Somebody who has great qualities. Earlier he said he's beautiful. Now he says he's rich also. Good qualities makes us beautiful, makes us rich. Who is a pure poor man? Who is not satisfied in life. Such person is poor fellow. Wretched, one who cannot control his senses. He's wretched fellow. Who's the actual controller? Real controller is one who's not attached to sense gratification. And a slave is one who's attached to material sense gratification. Finally, Krishna says, I told you all good qualities, bad qualities, good qualities, bad qualities. But seeing that itself is a bad quality. Seeing this is good quality, this bad quality is a bad quality. So that means you should not find faults like that. Not criticize like that is describing. So best quality is to transcend this material good and evil like that. Not this just mode of goodness basis. Transcend to beyond modes of nature. Purpose of life to transcend materially good and bad qualities and come to the liberated platform of pure Krishna consciousness. That's how Krishna concludes this section. Then the last chapter is simple. Last chapter is about pure devotional service, how it surpasses knowledge and detachment. Uddhava asked Krishna, now in the last chapter you told, I should not see this good, bad. How is that possible? Even the Vedas that came from you, they are telling us, oh, this is pious activity, this is sinful activity. You are saying, don't see that this is bad, this is good, like that. How can I do that? How can we not do that? Like that. Krishna gives beautiful answer in set of verses. He says, there are only 3 paths of perfection, nothing else. Karma, Jnana, and Bhakti, he says. So now, and he says, qualification of Jnana is detachment. If you're more detached, you can perform Jnana Yoga. But if you're materially attached, then you can perform Karma Yoga. Because you want to get something, so you'll do it. That's Karma. But for doing Bhakti, the qualification is, you should not be too much attached like Karmi, or too much detached like Gnani. So it should be balanced. Not too attached, not too detached like that. Because too much detached will make you hard-hearted. Too much attached will get you away from Bhakti altogether. So he says, one should be eager to hear Krishna Katha. That is the qualification for Bhakti. And we already discussed not too much attached, not too much detached on material plane. One should get to spiritual plane, he says. Then he says, now, then Vedas are telling about good and bad. How do you see that? So until you develop that Shraddha or faith to hear Krishna Katha, until you give up this desire for enjoying materially. Until that time, you should follow Vedic injunctions. Don't do that, don't do this like that. You should strictly follow those. But when you get to strict faith in Krishna Katha, and when you are detached from material sense gratification, then you don't need to follow. Because then you are on a spiritual plane. Like Uttam Bhakta is on a spiritual plane. They don't discriminate between good and bad on the material plane because they're transcendental. Like how Prahlad used to say, I don't want to, why are you telling me to look at friends as enemies and friends like that materially? Everybody has potential to become servant of God. Everybody is part and parcel of God. So I should not see them as friends and enemies like that Prahlad Maharaj used to say. That is an example of Uttam Bhakta. And then Krishna explains the human body of this life is a rare opportunity. Out of 8,400,000 species of life, we got this rare opportunity of human life. And it's very valuable to use this human life for spiritual advancement. If somebody is not utilizing for that purpose, he's a Atmaha, he's a killer of the soul. We know soul cannot be killed, but that's how the term is used in Ishopanishads also. He says, if it human body, this material world is like an ocean, and the human body is like a body, like a boat on the ocean, and the spiritual master is the captain of the boat, and favorable winds on the ocean that ply the boat are scriptures are like that, favorable winds that helps the boat to move forward. So we should utilize this human body and the guidance of spiritual master and the guidance of scriptures that are like favorable winds to cross this material ocean with this boat of the human body. If we cannot do that, then we're wasting this human life like that Krishna discussed. And then Krishna continues to describe some of the practices of jnanis then. And then he says, the transcendentalist who becomes disgusted and hopeless in endeavors for material happiness completely controls senses and develops detachment. And by spiritual practice, he then fixes mind on the spiritual platform without deviation. First is getting into that platform. I'm a spirit soul. I'm not this body. I don't want this material enjoyment. And then he focuses on the spiritual platform. And he controls the mind by maintaining goodness. That is one important principle for us. When we cultivate mode of goodness in devotee life, then we can actually control the mind. Otherwise, passion and ignorance will make mind go here and there, here and there. We cannot practice spirituality nicely. And then he says, preach to the mind. And then he describes the beginning stages of neophyte bhakta. This is actually very inspiring, this section also. Basically, what he says is, neophyte bhakta, he can develop faith by hearing Krishna Katha. That itself gives him faith. And he'll be disgusted with sense gratification activities. But sometimes, even though he knows sense gratification is not good, but what to do? He did not develop a higher taste yet fully. So he'll sometimes accidentally or circumstantially enjoy some senses. Oh, let me eat this, let me do this, like that. But he'll repent. Oh my God, why did I go do that again? I want to do bhakti nicely. Why did I get into sense gratification again? He'll repent for that. But he will try to do bhakti again nicely, like that. He's very happy when serving Krishna like that. And he continues to worship Krishna with faith and conviction. And he has faith in protection of Krishna and also faith in the scripture. When he's practicing bhakti like that, the knot in the heart, Hridaya Grandhi, that material sense gratification tendencies will go away. And all the doubts are completely destroyed. That means you get the clear knowledge of how to practice bhakti, how to love Krishna like that. And then you can relinquish all karmic activities and you can be seen by Krishna also. So that is the essence of this section. The backward glance, okay, this is the main section. Yeah, and also this case, Gauranga Darshana Prabhu, this Bhagavata Yavaha series YouTube playlist. Okay, these are the credits where it's due. Okay, yeah, I wanted to pause there. Sorry, I went like 10 minutes over. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to share so that we can discuss anything. Any comments or questions, anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. It was a difficult process to understand, but you made it simple with the 4 points, Prabhu. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand.
Yeah, it's a little technical. Yes, yeah. That's why.
It's so technical, and
Yes,
please do share with us, Prabhu. We'll go through again. And
absolutely. Sure, Mati. Yeah.
but as it is, even ashramas are very difficult. Be it any ashrama, Prabhu, because I don't know, only with the Krishna's grace, if anybody can be in ashrama,
Absolutely correct.
particularly for ladies, I guess, Prabhu.
Yeah, actually, all of us have their own set of difficulties. Yeah, but definitely, actually, ladies have some benefits, some pros and cons. Each of us have some pros and cons. So, yeah.
Okay,
So because
Prabhu.
you are usually inclined towards bhakti more nicely
I
compared
was
to.
interested in knowing about that Hungary, Prabhu. You told something about what is it, Prabhu? You were mentioning because it
Yeah,
went first.
sure, I can mention. Basically, His Holiness Shivram Swami Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He has a farm community in Hungary. It's called New Vrajdam, where uh, he is systematically trying to develop Varnashram ashram according to his model. The
Oh,
essence principle of Maharaj, I heard Maharaj classes some time ago, several years ago. The essence principle is like this. He takes from the seventh canto, where Narada Muni describes to Yudhishthira Maharaj, everybody needs to have some qualities as a human being like that. So he
oh,
says, we need to have the qualities of human beings. That we need to develop, number one. Then we can practice Varnashrama, he says. So now to practice Varnashrama, I need to know what is my Varna, what is my Ashrama. So he has tools for understanding that,
oh,
guidance for understanding that. Then they engage in particular Varna and particular Ashrama while doing devotional service nicely. So that way, they're slowly developing the Varnashrama model, it seems, Mataji.
everybody can go and be there, not like that, Prabhu.
Of course, yeah. But
Oh,
you have to leave our family, either go with family or leave for family. One of the two choices, right? That is the decision of ours. Yes.
oh, that is yeah. But
Right.
they allow from all over the world ISKCON devotees to participate in the village.
Any is countable, Mate. Any is countable. You can always make a way for you. As long as we have good attitude and we have service attitude, everybody will welcome us.
Oh,
Of
because
course,
in
we
Hungary,
self-reliant.
there's a different concept. I don't know whether he will accept it.
Yeah, as long as we are self-reliant in our own finances, it's easy to go. That's why
Yes,
we
yes.
need to make sure our finances are clear.
Yes.
Then everybody will welcome us, Mate. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
yeah, sure, Mate.
So anyway, material is the basis even for ashramas, Prabhu.
Yeah, of course. That's why we take care of this, but with the mode of dependence on Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we'll see again tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll take the next four chapters for all of you. They're also wonderful. Yeah, please join tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kapasindubhyev cha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.